quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. The foundation leads the fight. The warriors lead the tribe. When the beat drops and the spirits rise, we find the truth behind the disguise. They want us to go away, only our hearts do we obey. The foundation leads the fight. The warriors lead the tribe. When the beat drops and the spirits rise, we find the truth behind the disguise. They want us to go away, only our hearts do we obey. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo.
Check, check, check. Hey, how's it going out there, everybody with Grunt Foundation and Irreverent Warriors? We are here live on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this here in Missouri. It's a beautiful 70 degrees and sunny. I am joined with Quincy, the state commander for the VFW for Missouri, and Will Wisner, the executive director from the Grunt Foundation. And I have to start out with a very solemn moment because we have lost one of the great VFW members of our time, Mr. Chuck Norris.
Saying so.
An Air Force veteran and the American resident badass. So we are going to start out with in our mourning, and our solemnity is going to be the capstone moment will be a Chuck Norris joke from our producer, David. So, David, please hit me with that.
You, Chuck Norris, once won a game of Connect 4 in 3 moves.
Yeah, buddy. We're going to be doing Chuck Norris interludes throughout this this session
and
today.
That is totally fitting, man, because, Chuck Norris was kind of the patron saint of both Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yes.
I mean, you did not go into a porta-john and not have a good hour's worth of reading of Chuck Norris jokes.
Chuck Norris jokes were prolific in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yes, they were.
It's where I was introduced to them for the first time.
Really? You never?
It is. It is.
The jokes themselves or Chuck Norris?
The Chuck Norris jokes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2004 was the first time I really was, I guess, knew about them, and it's through Porta Shitters.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think why you'd want to be in a porta-john for an hour.
Well,
Yeah.
it's it's your refuge.
It's like
your-
100
It's like
Okay.
church, Quincy.
Yeah, okay.
120-degree heat. Well, in the infantry is the only time we were alone.
That's right.
The only time. Speaking of heat, it was like 120 degrees in those. It was like saunas and sweat lodges were in Porta Shitters in Iraq.
Yeah, with the poo pyramids.
Yeah, poo pyramids.
Yeah.
And then, so speaking of heat, Arizona hit a world record. It's never had in the month of March. It's never hit above a certain amount, and it just hit 110.
Really?
So, hats off to everybody in Arizona. I
Yeah.
hope you guys are surviving the heat wave in March.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. We better start sending more money to Al Gore. Get this
It's-
under control.
It's getting hot. Let's just say that. And I know you guys just experienced the opposite end of that. You just got back from the VFW conference in DC where it was snowing.
It was.
So it's, the weather is it was snowing here on Monday, and yesterday, what was it yesterday? 80?
It was beautiful.
80 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on Monday it was snowing here.
Yeah, the weather is crazy right now.
Yeah, the weather is crazy. So tell me about DC. You all were both there. You guys were speaking to Congress and our elected leaders in Washington, D.C. about some of our veteran issues. Quincy, what was some of your highlights?
It's wonderful to see so many veterans. We can't say storm the Capitol, but so many veterans show up in D.C. at one time, because we had veterans from all over the world, from Europe and the Pacific areas.
Cool.
And yeah, so it's just, and we all have the same common goal, and that's fighting for veterans' rights.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Yes.
And so we all had appointments with our legislators. We met with our legislators and or their staff and tried to sway votes to support veterans.
Yeah, and then Carol Whitmore, the first female leader of the VFW, is testifying in front of Congress, and I know you were there, and you also a female leader of the VFW, right? Tell me about Carol.
Carol's just a wonderful person, and I love Carol to pieces. I've been under her for now 3 years. I followed her along through the chairs, and I've gotten to know her, and she's just wonderful. And she, just like the rest of us, she lives and breathes the VFW, lives and breathes veterans' rights.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Wonderful, wonderful. What were some of the things she spoke about?
She spoke about the Major Richard Starr Act.
Okay, tell me about that.
So the Major Richard Starr Act is what allows Congress to offset 100% disabled veterans who were medically retired before their 20 years. And so Congress allows the offset of those funds instead of them allowing the full of both. They call it double dipping.
Okay,
Not
so
sure.
today, people like me that were medically retired aren't allowed to also get VA, right?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And they come out of different pots. So I'm not sure how it's double dipping because your disability comes out of VA and your retirement comes out of DOD, Department of Defense. So that's not double dipping. You should get what you've earned. You've earned both and you should get both. You shouldn't have to choose between one or the other.
Well, I'm glad people like you are advocating for this. I wrote my congressmen and senators about it. I think the VFW actually sent out a email prompting that for us to let our legislative representatives know how we felt about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Richard Starr Act is it's a big one, man. We hear that all the time. No matter what we post, it could be about our favorite flavor of cola, and I'm going to get at least 12 comments of past we need to advocate on the Major Richard Starr Act, and we do. So, but that's how passionate people are about that in there because number one, it impacts an awful lot of people, and it impacts people that. We're there in the long haul. These aren't people that were in and out, of the service. These are people that were there for a career. They were there for the full ride. And then through whatever happened to them during the course of their service, whether it was war or even training to go to war, they get injured and they're out.
One of our friends that's impacted by this is Corporal Todd Nicely.
Yeah. How insane is that?
Yeah. I mean, he was in... it's in the book, but he was in over 100 troops in contact firefights where he was leading his troops bounding through these fields in Afghanistan, clearing houses, doing all this stuff. There's an ambush where he hits an IED and loses all of his arms and legs.
Yes.
And he can only collect VA disability or his pension.
I know that is absurd. If you are one of
It's
two
obscene.
living, he's like only two, right? There's only two living quadruple amputees.
Not a whole lot.
It's very, that's just disgusting.
That's obscene. We all raise our right hand. We serve. We go where they tell us to go. We do what they tell us to do. They need to honor the contract and take care of us the way they promised.
1,000%. And so, folks, this is why it's important to have people like Quincy doing the work that she does with the VFW. And Quincy, we've probably neglected that. Why don't you introduce who you are and what your role is in the VFW here? That might be a good place to pick up this conversation.
Well, Quincy Myrick, and I'm the state commander of the VFW in Missouri, which is the highest you can be in a department in a state position. I'm voted in by my peers. And I serve for a year, and then pretty soon I'll be a has-been.
Well, now, that's a big role, and that's a big honor to fill that chair. What was it about you and your background that would make you want to have that kind of a position of responsibility within the VFW? Because I know there's a whole lot that goes along with that.
There's a lot that goes on with it. I just want to serve veterans. I want to help ensure that we serve veterans, that we get veterans' rights. Membership is hugely important.
Yes.
One of the things that I tell people on a regular basis is any of us that are getting any kind of benefit, we're only getting the benefit because someone fought for it, because Congress doesn't give us anything out of the goodness of their heart.
That's absolutely
Ever,
right.
Ever. So veterans, before you fought for you, it's your duty, it's your job to fight for them. So that's why I do it, so that we fight for the veterans.
Well, I am thrilled that you are, because somebody has to stand in that breach. And folks, I don't know that everybody at home really fully understands this, but here's the deal. There are all sorts of interests that have industry that, are built around them. And all of these industries lobby Congress. And that's really what they are. And most of these lobbyings, these activities, are going to serve the interests of whatever industry it is that's supporting them. Right. So it's not, oftentimes, a lot of the lobbying is about regulating competition is ultimately what it boils down to. It's quite underhanded.
So I can talk about this because when I was in competitive business strategy consulting, what we did is once we got Congress and the legislature to pass something that was beneficial for our company, is then we immediately tried to make the laws so much more strict and the policies so much more strict that nobody else could come into the space.
Oh yeah,
and so we wanted to use the federal laws to create a monopoly.
Yes,
but it's a legal monopoly because it's protected.
Absolutely. That's why to this day, things that work, like hyperbaric oxygen therapy, things that can save lives and restore minds. These things exist in the VA system, but you can't access them because the FDA won't regulate them for these conditions that they consider off-label, which is nuts because these things regrow soft tissue. So that's just one example, right? You have these lobbyists that are going there. So now flip over to the veteran side of the. There is no industries around just being veterans overall. So no one is lobbying on things that benefit us. There's no industry to lobby on behalf for. So this is where the veteran service organizations come into play, especially those that are chartered by Congress, right? These are groups that have 1 million members or more, and that is an important number that we have to maintain because we can't lose that charter. When we were up in D.C., it was the Veteran Service Organizations Week, and so you have all these groups that are coming in, and there's little groups and big groups, and then the big, what they call the Big Six, which is the VFW, the American Legion, the DAV, and the Wounded Warrior Project, and all that. That's our opportunity to bring forward to Congress these types of issues, like, hey, pass the Major Richard Starr Act. And to Senator Moran's credit, when we were in our joint session with the SVAC and the HVAC, he made a commitment to all those veterans in that room. There's a lot of them, all these leaders from the VFW around the country. He made the promise that he was going to bring up the Major Richard Starr Act for a floor vote. And he did that day. And we had Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin scuttled that. So for those of you at home that may be impacted by this issue with the Major Richard Starr Act, send a letter to Senator Ron Johnson and ask him why he voted against that. I think we deserve an explanation for that.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, speaking of injustice, I think you all were all in Jefferson City at the state capitol speaking about veterans' rights. And you all were talking about the Missouri Veterans Commission. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about that situation.
The Missouri Veterans Commission is run by the state of Missouri. Should be funded by the state of Missouri. They are responsible for our veteran service program within the state. So they give grants to DAV and VFW, Wounded Warriors, for the service officer programs. They're also tasked with taking care of the Missouri veterans cemeteries in the state, and Missouri veterans homes in the state. Those are the big ones. And they haven't been fully funded for about 12 years. About 12 years ago, I don't even know who the governor was, decided that the funds needed to be spent elsewhere, took them out of the budget, said they'd bring them back, and we've been fighting to get them back in the budget ever since.
Shocking that happens
What a
that way,
surprise,
isn't it?
right?
It's the same way with when the dispensaries came on board. Like, these are going to benefit the veterans. We're going to use all the tax revenue that comes from these marijuana dispensaries to support the vets. Made a lot of money. And then that money was, the old switcheroo happens.
Right.
And
Right.
we're just going to borrow this. We'll put it back. Well, it never, this is like having a damn 18-year-old kid living in your house, but it's the damn government. And always taking loans.
Originally, if I remember right, it was the medicinal marijuana that we were supposed to get a portion of.
Right.
But now it's legal for just regular use.
Yeah.
So there's not so much medicinal marijuana. So it's basically took money out of our pockets.
Yes.
Fascinating.
They always seem to find a way. And you know what? It's always in the name of the children. Always and always and always. We're about to violate you in the most brutal way possible. But hey, it's for the kids, so it's okay.
Fascinating.
And you're right. You're right.
That's a smart talking point for them to constantly just flip from veterans to kids to veterans to kids and kind of have those two talking points.
That's the game, man.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like this hemp bill that's going on right now, right? I see this coming across my feed this morning when I was going through and reading the news, and there's all these scientific articles on how marijuana does not actually deal with anxiety. It does not help with depression. There is such a coordinated campaign going on between the big alcohol industry and, oddly enough, the marijuana dispensary itself on these issues like hemp. Like, they're trying to we're in serious jeopardy of losing the entire hemp industry. That's access to all the full spectrum CBDs and all these other things. Oh, yes.
Well, what did I tell you I used to do in competitive business strategy? What you want to do is you want to get yourself legal.
That's right.
And then you want all your competition to be illegal.
That's exactly what it is.
So what we called that was building the castle. So you basically build a castle and you start locking all the doors, and making sure nobody else can get into that space where you're able to control all the people.
Yeah, it's quite disgusting.
Yeah.
Sounds like a politician.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I left that type of work. There's a lot of good people in that space because they think that what's most profitable is the most competitive, and whatever the most competitive thing is leads to the best outcomes for the country. That's the way that we think about it when you're on the business strategy side.
Yeah.
Because you want the most competition, because then the best ideas win, and then those ideas are the best for the country, right? But actually what it is just all greed.
Well, and I've been in this game of advocacy for a long time now. And one thing I have seen over and over again is that these groups that are pushing forth the carrot, there is always that stick that comes behind it, no matter what. And it's always cloaked in the for the children and for the veterans. And, but here's this meaningful thing that comes along. Well, we just don't know. We just don't have the science. Well, a lot of these things that work, like even cannabis, we're still talking about that. President Trump tried to reschedule that back in December, and that was in, part of that little hemp battle we were talking about a couple of seconds ago. That was a big day, and here we are, in March, and we still have not seen any real movement on anything meaningful that rescheduling, because it is gummed up inside the halls of Congress, and this is being done by, again, the big alcohol and marijuana industry.
It's interesting about hey, we need more studies. There's a lot of pharmaceuticals that were approved and are currently in use, and a lot of the studies that led to them being approved were shown to be founded on faulty research.
Well, they're like the issue of psychotropic medications and SSRIs. None of them have been studied longer than 6 weeks. Kind of makes you wonder why they designed that study that way, and why does that have weight when these other don't? And I can tell you, it's because these things, when you're trying to study a Schedule 1 drug or plant, in this case, there's no way to patent it because it's plant. So, who's going to spend all the crazy amount of money that's required to go in and do these Schedule 1 studies? Nobody, because you can't get your return on your investment. So since it's not approachable, then that gives them the shield of saying, well, there's just a lot of anecdotal evidence about these things, but we just don't know because there's no research. Well, there's no research because no one can afford or willingly go into the process to study Schedule 1 things. So we have to undo that scheduling in order to access it. And the real threat is that these same forces that we're talking about on lobbying, whenever these bills look like they have teeth, I've seen it over and over again here in the state of Missouri, and we'll see where this goes in the current bills that we have going. These universities show up and say, we love this, and we would like to throw in with this and do this research. However, we're going to insist that we only study the synthetic version of this mushroom or of this weed. And we're going to inject one single molecule of carbon into this thing, and we're going to call it synthetic. And now you can do your research, but only on this one.
Because it's patented.
And so now,
profit.
Of course. And so then whenever they go to the past the clinical trials and it's time to roll it out, well, we can only use the synthetic version because that's what's been studied. We can't use the actual real version that grew from the earth because we haven't studied it. It's not the synthetics. They build these weird little mind games into it, and if you're not paying attention, you just go along with it. And if you start to question it, then they'll just tell you it's for the children.
When I was in business strategy working at Express Scripts, we controlled. I think the year that I left, I was there for a couple of years, but the year that I left, we made $107 billion in pharmaceuticals. We were distributing probably 60 or 70% of the pharmaceuticals used in the United States. And we bought a firm that did the clinical studies.
Yeah. Ooh,
and brought them in-house.
Yeah. I don't know. What do
because
you
then you have control.
What's your opinion on some of these bills impacting veterans before the Missouri legislature, Quincy? Where's the VFW land on these things?
Which ones do you want to talk about?
You got a big job.
Yeah.
I'd love to double click on you were talking to me before we started about the veterans home and how that is not serving veterans the way it could. You want to elaborate on that one a little bit?
Oh, I'd be happy to. That comes close to my heart. I've been to every veterans home, Missouri veterans home in the state. There's
really?
7 of them. Yes.
7? Okay. Are they well distributed? Or?
They're well distributed. There's none right here around Jefferson County.
Okay, but up in north.
Well, we have one in St. Louis. We have a St. James. We have Cape Girardeau, and then further south and west.
Is the one in St. Louis the one with the tanks and stuff up by the river?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, they need to be fully funded. They haven't been fully funded. They have to ask for funds every year. The homes themselves are wonderful. If you've ever been into a nursing home from the private sector, and I don't want to slam the private sector.
I've spent a lot of time in nursing homes.
My dad was in a nursing home, and it's sad. It's a sad situation. And you go into one of the veterans' homes, and you need to visit one, Hugh. They're night and day different.
How?
Well, they won't allow the home to be overpopulated.
Okay.
There is a certain client resident to employee ratio that will never be stretched.
Okay.
They don't stretch their nurses or their CRNs or RNs beyond what they can do.
Well, I've never seen a nursing home employee that wasn't completely stressed out. Are you saying that they exist?
Go to one of the VA homes in Missouri, and they just treat the residents with the utmost respect.
Really?
Yeah, they have, every one of the nursing homes has a garden in back that people can work their own garden. Yes.
The residents
Yes.
can work their own garden.
Yes.
So now I know where I'm retiring to. Will, I don't know if you want to join me, but let's have a crew.
I'm just going to burn out long before I get to there. That's my goals.
But they need to be funded. We have veterans that would like to go into the homes that can't because we don't have the personnel to put in there because we can't get the money from the state of Missouri.
Got it.
It's a catch-22.
It's a catch-22, and it's at that catch-22 where I think it's time for a Chuck Norton joke interlude.
Norton.
Norton? Yeah,
Norris.
that's what you said.
Norris.
Chuck Norton. Oh.
You're about to get roundhouse kicked from the beyond, man.
First of all,
I deserve
I'd
it.
like to say these are not Chuck Norris jokes. These are Chuck Norris facts.
Oh,
Nice.
Ooh, yes.
Nice.
I'll give you a twofer here. The flu gets a Chuck Norris shot every year. And in the beginning, there was nothing. Then Chuck Norris roundhouse kicked nothing and told it to get a job.
Nice.
It's a good book of Chuck.
That is very good. Thank you very much. Thank
Hey,
you very much.
one quick thing I want to build on top of with this nursing home conversation. Yesterday, on the HHS Office of Inspector General Facebook page, everybody go search HHS Office of Inspector General and check out this article they posted. This was a new HHS OIG report that has found that nursing homes are inappropriately diagnosing residents with schizophrenia in order to mask the nursing home's misuse of antipsychotic drugs and, once again, psychotropic medications to artificially inflate their star ratings and to skirt Medicaid safeguards intended to protect the residents. That is monstrous.
Fascinating. That's probably just scratching the surface, too.
Oh,
If I
yeah.
had to guess.
Yeah. I mean, how evil is that?
Profitability over everything. You know, I mean, I went to one of the top MBA schools. I think when I went and got my MBA, it was 9th in the nation. And we were using the Harvard Business School curriculum. And it's what you were taught is competitiveness and profitability is the goal of everything. And you're taught that competitiveness amongst classmates, profitability among your fake projects and your fake companies you build as a part of the MBA, and the folks that have the teams within the MBA program that have the highest stock value of their fake companies at the end, they're the ones that win and get all the awards and get all the accolades. So the way it's designed is, and as I said, you know, there's some good behind saying that the more competitive you can be, the more options you're going to have as a customer and the better those options are going to be, right? There is something to that. But then there's also this dark undercurrent where it's kind of greed and profitability over everything without any of the impacts taken into consideration, right? And there's a rebalancing that I feel like our country is ready for. I mean, a lot of us are talking about this. I mean, think about how many people we represent here at this table, and everyone, all of our folks that are a part of our different groups are talking about the unfairness and the inequality of this, right? these different systems that essentially prey upon whether it's the elderly, as you just mentioned, whether it's the poor, whether it's veterans that don't have a voice, whatever it is, it's just systems that are essentially using people to fuel their profitability.
It is gross. It is absolutely gross ideas. And unfortunately, I think the way our country was designed probably would have, if we actually carried out things the way it was envisioned, we probably wouldn't have to deal with that, because I think they would take care of the business. Where I think we're running afoul is we have grown so tribal and so polarized in politics that becomes the new version of the for the children, for the veterans. And now it's like, that team's against this, or this team is for that. You don't want to be for that, do you? And we immediately fall into line. If the other team is for it, we're against it. And if they're against it, we're for it. And the details don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you want to distract a group of people that are coming at you, then you get them to fight each other, and then you can do whatever you want and no one pays attention.
That's right.
So I think it's time for another Chuck Norris.
Yeah, clear the air. We're getting too heavy.
Chuck Norris joke.
Fact, not joke.
Fact. Chuck Norris fact, sorry.
Chuck Norris recently had the idea to sell his pee as a canned beverage. It's now called Red Bull.
That's an historical fact.
Love it.
So Quincy, how does the VFW advocate for us? I don't know that people really understand what it is. When we say these things, no one fights harder for veterans than the VFW. What does that mean?
Well, because with our auxiliary, we have more than 1 million members. And of course, like we all know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
So we go loud, we go proud, we want to be heard. That's why we have our Veterans Week in Washington, D.C., where we can all go there together. And you can't not see us. You can't go through one of the buildings and not see us there, because we make sure that we're seen. We make sure we're heard. Mm-hmm. Every state does the same thing. That's one of the biggest things we can do, is legislate for our veterans.
Right.
We need to fight for those that are coming before us. And as we talk today, more veterans, more wounded veterans are being made right now.
Yes, that's true.
And we need to keep fighting for them, because they deserve it.
That's right.
Yeah, Iran is not going to stop with their proxy militia attacks on our troops anytime soon. I think that this could end up being a long thing, And right now, the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, which is featured in a new Netflix reality TV series. If you have Netflix, I urge anybody listening to watch the show. It's very hard to remember the name of. The name of the show is Marines, and it's on Netflix. So look up the show Marines on Netflix, and you can see a reality show about a unit of just regular Marines, not special operations or anything like that, just regular infantry Marines. And that exact unit just got deployed to Iran as the tip of the spear for boots on the ground.
Tell me what you know
here's
about
actually
the Marines.
some clips from the documentary, or from the series. Yeah,
Guns,
this is
fighting,
the new series.
shooting,
When I was
training.
watching
Go now. Getting jacked.
Netflix, it reminded
You're
me a
probably
lot
gonna
of
die.
my time. A lot of my time. And it also showed you a lot. It reminds you, if you've been off active duty for a while, it really does a great job of reminding you what it's like to just be on active duty, because this show is not shot during wartime. They're not taking the cameras in with them to Iran or anything.
Yeah, sure.
It's just shot during training, and there's no combat, and none of the guys they interview have seen combat. So it's fascinating just showing, non-combat Marine Corps or just active duty military in general, and what you go through with all your training cycles and everything that you go through throughout the year, and the amount of stress that they're under, just active duty, no combat, anything like that. And it really humbled me again and made me, because sometimes I'll think to myself, oh, I did all these tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, I'm special. No, you're not. No, you're not. Every single service member is going through a lot of stress just serving. So I think it'd be great for everybody to check that documentary out and just know that this series and the folks featured in it, this is the unit that's going to be the tip of the spear, boots on the ground in Iran, and they're going to be VFW members, and they're going to need mental health healing right?
That's right.
Will, when they get back, they're going to have, I didn't deal with drone anxiety. I dealt with mortar, rocket, that kind of anxiety. You could just get your legs blown off walking to the porta shitter, right? Mm-hmm. But these folks are going to deal with this drone anxiety, which is a whole different level of, you could be in a cubicle, and then all of a sudden a drone comes in through the AC vents, or something. You know what I mean? It's just
weird times.
It's just a weird, different level of anxiety. So you guys should think.
And for every veteran that serves, it's a different anxiety.
Yes.
You look at our older veterans, and then the veterans in my age, and like you talk about stress, and every veteran has stress, and that's what the non-veterans don't realize. The simple fact that when you raise your hand and you say, "I will go wherever you tell me to go, when you tell me to go, with the drop of a hat," is stress. That is a stressful situation, and you live that stressful situation the entire time you're in the service.
That's true. Yeah, I remember the Cold War. My dad, he was a major in the Air Force, and it was all he and my mom would prep us like this could happen at any moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm worried about our service members, but I'm also excited. We're all getting together in July at the convention. We're going to talk about a lot of super relevant topics, maybe even more than recent conventions for the VFW. But in July, we're all going to get together, and we're going to be discussing new wars and ways to serve and help and support those service members and veterans when they come back. Because we've got a Navy that's seen more combat and more combat deployments than since World War II. And there's just going to be a ton of troops coming back, and they're going to have needs.
And we just sent a Space Force guy overseas.
Oh,
the first Space Force
he
person
finally deployed
to deploy.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
except for the secret fleet that's off in Nibiru.
I think it's time.
Spaceships.
I think it's time for a Chuck Norris fact. I think it's time for a Chuck Norris fact.
He's disarming us.
I got it.
Chuck Norris not only can kill 2 stones with 1 bird, he can strangle you with a cordless phone.
No, a cordless phone. All right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So, but getting back to the conference, VFW conference in July in Reno, what are you all excited about?
I'm just excited to see what we've accomplished this year. How much Congress has listened to us, how much they're gonna do for us, and then what we need to do to move forward. So we'll get the ammunition for the next year to carry forward for the next year to just continue the fight for veterans.
I'm excited for the Silky Hike because we're going to be doing an IW Silky Hike at the Reno conference.
That's right. We forgot about that.
We did kind of a sort of Silky Hike.
Washington,
it was
D.C.?
In D.C. It was so cold and snowy. There was a couple of
hardcore. Hardcore.
There were some hardcore Silkies out there, but not very many because it was wicked cold, man.
Comment about the march.
Yeah. We have a great
The
clip
bonus
here
army.
where they're showing it right now.
Yeah. So it was. There's Tim talking about all the connections there. It was a cold and snowy day, and man, look at those Sergeant at Arms from the VFW there in the Doughboy outfits.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
They look great.
Yeah.
Now that started in 1932.
I know.
Nice.
I was on the call when we decided to do the bonus Army March.
Really? How cool is
it was,
that?
Thank God Dan
There's
West
Carol.
is a visionary on this stuff because
Yes.
if it would have went on the original plan, it would have been Silkies for everybody, and that probably wouldn't have worked out well with the cold.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Look at that. What a great group.
Yeah, the old bonus Army March. We're trying to pay homage to that because, man, isn't that weird? History is just the same over and over because the whole bonus Army, that's what that whole thing was about. Do you want to tell us about the bonus Army?
Well, the bonus Army was a group of veterans that marched in D.C. for veterans' rights.
They were promised something that then they weren't given.
Yeah, they got an IOU at the end of the war saying, we'll pay you someday this bonus. And then when the Depression was really going and all these guys were homeless and they just came to D.C. and built a shanty town and just lived in it and said, we're here for our money. And then the government came in and burned their camps down and chased them all out. But
they're not going to burn us down and chase us.
Nah, it's a different day now,
I
man.
think we're probably going to make that a tradition to do every year.
That's
my
awesome.
understanding.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Hopefully it doesn't snow every year.
No. Hopefully we have better weather.
Whether it does or not, we're still
We'll do
marching.
We'll still go.
I can't tell you I'm wearing silkies, though. Yeah, no.
Hey, I don't wear them either.
Sometimes I put them on top of my sweatpants.
That works.
Yep.
That would
Yep.
work. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a bunch of interesting IW events coming up this weekend in Knoxville. We've got the Wellness Weekend, and then a big, exciting weekend next weekend of Silky's hikes. We've got Jack's Beach in Florida. If you want to see a beach and hang out and get some tropical weather, head down there March 28th. We've got New Braunfels, so if you're in the San Antonio area, or you are anywhere in Texas, really, or nearby states, feel free to go to the New Braunfels hike with Ed Eaton, the local coordinator that's leading that. He's got a bunch of really funny activities planned. And then my favorite East Coast hike this time of year is always at the Washington, D.C.
Cherry Blossom
Festival. They do a big Cherry Blossom Festival, which is, I kept hearing about it, and I was like, who cares about some trees? And then I went
they're
there.
beautiful.
I know. And then I went, and then I saw all these trees with these crazy, amazing flowers on them, and it looked gorgeous. But they do a night hike, and everybody wears these glow sticks on all of their body armor and their helmets and everything. And we go to each memorial, and we do moments of silence, and we also do a bunch of fun games and everything. So the Washington, D.C. night hike is definitely not one to miss. So highly, highly recommend that.
Yep.
And seeing the memorials at night is a whole different experience than seeing them in the day.
It hits with gravity.
The Korea memorial is just breathtaking.
The lighting.
At night, yes.
Yes, the lighting is phenomenal. So, but I'm not going to end without letting you all say a final announcement. If you got any upcoming things that you'd like to make everybody aware of that you're excited about.
We've got a lot of things coming up over in Gruntstyle land.
Oh,
man.
yes, the concert.
We've got a concert that's going to be kicking off on Memorial Day down in Nashville. We're going to be at the Nashville Palace. We've got some banger musicians that are lined up. We got the Velvet Rodeo. We got Savannah Ray and a couple of others that are going to be popping on there. And it's a benefit concert for the foundation, but it's also a awareness raising kind of an event where we're going to be talking about alternative healing modalities, primarily hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So that's the one we're going to be championing on this concert, and that's pretty good. Then let's see, we've got a lot of activities coming up outside the country. We're going to be, we have space and availability for those that may be interested in exploring the modality of ayahuasca. We're going to be taking veterans down to Peru, and we're going down to the old Sacred Valley. So if that is, if you're a veteran and that sounds like something that you are interested in doing, reach out to us. Send us an email at foundation@gruntstyle.com, and we'll get you all the details on that. And we got a couple of other things in the cooker, too, that's not ready to come up. But we are doing our integration event in just north of St. Louis in September, where you can come learn about all these different modalities, everything from horse equine to ayahuasca. Again, you know, we're just, if you want to learn about it, these are all educational type classes and get people started on the road of something that may gel with them or speak to their heart. It's everything from nutrition to singing bowls and sound therapy to horses to, I mean, just you name it, the list goes on and on. We got about 28 different instructors that are going to be there this year, and each one is a master practitioner in their field, and they'll be making all this information available. And then the evening hours, there'll be opportunities to set into ceremony that we do. We bring the Lakota come out from Pine Ridge Reservation. Yeah. We do the Sweat Lodge. We do the Uwampi ceremony. I mean, it is really fantastic opportunity. Encourage everybody to check that out. Stay tuned to the Grunt Style Foundation social media outlets, probably where you're viewing this podcast today, and come join us.
Awesome. Yeah. Quincy, what does the VFW have going on? I know we got the big national convention. I know there's a state convention in June,
State convention in June in Springfield, Missouri.
Wonderful.
And then
your hometown.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, grew up down there.
And then the national convention in Reno, looking forward to that. But every state right now is fighting, almost every state, 11 have already passed, about 11, is the claim sharks. Every state of the union, the VFW, is fighting against claim sharks because we need to stop letting people take money that they don't deserve.
You know, let's talk about that a little bit too while we have the opportunity. Just a little bit. I mean, it's a big time. We talk about this a lot, you know, over here because you know it's our favorite partner is the VFW, so we try to really amplify those things that are important to that. We're all VFW members as well, so you know it's kind of part of the gig. And I had a little bit of mixed feelings on that when I was first really kind of, you know, this is a thing. Like, we're worried about these groups, and I just kept thinking, man, I just got ran through the ringer when I tried to do my benefits. So yeah, I'll pay somebody to get get my difference there. I don't see anything wrong with that. And it's a spectrum, right? There's different ones that are okay, and then there's ones that are just ghastly. And I had not ran into the ghastly. I'd ran more into the okay guy side, but I met a gentleman this past weekend, as a matter of fact. He's out in Kansas City, and I want to connect him over to you to see if you guys can help him out. Because he started at, I don't know, something like 40% or something like that. And he used one of these Claim Shark groups, and it got him up to like 70, I think. Or no, it was 90. He went all the way up to 90, and that's where it stopped. But that guy owes these people like 28 grand is what he owes them. And they are coming after that dude like it's the mafia.
And if he dies before it's paid, they'll go after his widow.
Yes. And he's telling me all these horror stories of just the hell that this kid's living in with all this extra financial strain. He's got a injured back. He had a spinal fusion. And it's just a rough story. So he can't really work in labor type jobs, and so he's kind of in a weird pickle there, but he can't not pay these bills, and so he's kind of in the rob Peter to pay Paul kind of portion of all of that cycle, where which bill am I not going to pay this month to pay the other bill, and he always has to get that those Claim Sharks paid off. So I was like, man, that should not be.
And that's a Claim Shark, and that's what and hopefully he tells his legislator about it, because I've gone in their offices and they tell me it's called choice, veterans choice. We want to give them a choice. We don't mind there being lawyers to help veterans file claims, but they should be accredited, just like we are. But they can charge. The VFW, Irreverent Warriors, AMVETS, we don't charge for our service officers. If someone thinks they can get it quicker and pay a lawyer to do it, get a lawyer that is accredited service officer, because then they have a cap that they can charge that's set by the VA, and they can't rape you. They can't do that to you.
And that's
They
what's
can't
happened
put
to
you
that
in
poor
debt.
kid, man.
Exactly, and it does happen. And the thing is we don't hear enough about those. The legislators, the Claim Sharks the lobbyists have so much money, and they go to our legislators and they talk about that the veterans deserve a choice, and they do, but get someone that's an accredited service officer. That's the biggest thing I can tell you.
And on that note, it's time for a Chuck Norris fact.
Chuck Norris once kicked a horse in the chin. Its descendants are now known as giraffes.
Love it. Thank you so much, David. Did a great job producing. Thank you so much, Quincy, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to the VFW for being a great partner of ours.
Thank you.
Will, awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful weekend enjoying this weather. If you're in Arizona, make sure you carry water with you because it's 110 degrees. And sending much love to everybody. Have a great time this weekend.
Absolutely. Take care of each other. Be kind and stay waxy, everybody.
Thank you.